Politics will what? Change from...
Há 4 anos eu estou tentando aplicar
Politics will what?
Welcome to the live streaming. My name is Tessa Manuelo. I am your host for this incredible event on the topic of Web3, innovation, and legal design. As we are live, I would like to take this opportunity to invite all the live attendees to share in the chat where in the world you are tuning in from. And that also helps me make sure you can actually see me and hear me. So leave a little emoji with your flag to let us know where in the world you are tuning in from. And you can find the chat easily on the YouTube channel. If you don't see it, just click on the YouTube and that's where you're gonna find the link for the chat. And well, I'm excited because today we have an incredible panel to discuss a little bit what happened this summer at the Legal Design Web3 Hackathon. We organized in partnership with Ground an incredible event in the metaverse, bringing legal professionals from all around the world, as well as entrepreneurs and business advisors to really investigate the concepts of Web3 and the law. And so I would like to bring to the stage Sabrina and Gopal, who work for Ground. I see Sabrina, here you are, and Gopal as well, who are actually, I hope Sabrina, your camera is working well. I don't see you there, but we'll see. Gopal, can you hear me? Are you here?
Hey guys, great. Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
That's
Thanks
awesome.
for having us.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
Can
Hi,
you hear
Sabrina.
me?
Yes, I can hear you well now.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
That's great. So maybe Gopal, would you like to share a little bit about you, what you do, before we bring the other guests who are joining us for this live, so we can start a little bit talking about ground and well, maybe I'll bring Benedict with us. Here's Benedict. She's with us. She was part of the hackathon as well. Hi, Benedict.
Hi there.
Great to have you. Benedict was a participant for the Web3 hackathon. So let's go back to Gopal.
Awesome.
You would like to share a little bit about what is ground, and also a little bit about you, your profile, your background, and what you do.
Sure. So ground was the kind of the culmination of what I've been up to in the last 2 decades, having a portfolio career across investing and private equity and being an entrepreneur. And it's our vision of a decentralized, borderless world of co-founding and collaborating with entrepreneurs, flexible workers, and creators. It was born during the pandemic with my fellow co-founder Sabrina. And we are, dog fooding Web3. We are remote. We are decentralized. We are distributed. And Ground is supported by another venture that I co-founded, which is actually a venture builder, a venture studio called Essia here in London.
Okay, I see you still moving, Tessa.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, because I had the same problem. I also was just thrown out.
Gopal is frozen.
It's a real life.
Yeah,
it's a real life. Yeah, so I just continue because I'm a co-founder. Yeah, what we want to do is helping startups and founders and founding teams to share their equities better and more fairly. And with doing that, we want to help that, let's say, that more startups will survive the first period. And we are kind of our own guinea pigs, and also a vital part, let's say, a vital important element of, let's say, getting helping startups getting funded on blockchain is to understand the regulations and the let's say jurisdictions and how that needs to be applied, so that you are not having, let's say, that you are not illegal and compliant with the law. And this is, let's say, especially, so now I just talk from my perspective because I'm a strategic designer, so I'm not a lawyer at all. But for me to design businesses and to design the platform and to design Ground, it's a vital part, and I need to understand it as well. And this is what we wanted to solve with this hackathon. Now I'm just a bit too far in the story, but let's say this is Ground and our ambitions with this project.
Well, thanks, Sabrina, for being here. Let's hear from Benedict. Benedict is a lawyer. She's based in France, in the Alps, I believe. And yeah, would you like to say a few words about you, what you do, and maybe also what got you interested to participate in this Web3 Legal Design Hackathon?
Yes, sure. So I'm Benedict Vitier. I'm a legal counsel. I've been a legal counsel for 14 years in-house mainly, and now I'm running my own firm as a data privacy consultant. So I'm specializing in all GDPR related questions, and I also launched a kind of template shop. Templates designed for entrepreneurs working exclusively on the web. So like, copywriters, coaches, and graphic designers, web designers, and so on. So I've got 2 activities for now. And what drove me to to participate in the hackathon is curiosity first, because I've really been curious about Web3 for like a year now, and as well as legal design, because legal design is also a big thing right now if you want to move forward in the legal ground. This is one of my beliefs, at least, and this was a perfect combination, about stepping into legal design, since it was really my first acquaintment, with real legal design, and Web3. So it was a perfect occasion.
Well, that's wonderful to hear. And so there's lots of new concepts we're talking today. We're talking about Web3. Sabrina mentioned the blockchain. Benedict talked about legal design. All those may be a little new and foreign to the audience. So it could be interesting maybe to start the discussion to talk a little bit about Web3 and what is it exactly, and why it's so important. Maybe Gopal, since you have so much experience in the field and vision too for the Web3, would you like to share a little bit?
Sure. I think the best way for me to answer this is to talk about the principles rather than the technicals, and anchor it against what is Web 1, what is Web 2, and therefore how have we arrived at Web 3. So Web 1 was the classic internet, and this will kind of show my age a little bit, but when I first joined online, it was dial-up. It was the classic kind of copper wire phone line. A number of listeners on this call may not even know what that even is. But essentially, Web 1 is probably best classified as the read web. Essentially, this kind of walled garden experience. Think of brands like the original AOL or CompuServe, kind of locked environments, not the full internet, but very highly curated, centralized environments. Web 2 is pretty much everything we've seen in the last 2 decades. So we could say this is the read-write web. This would encompass all the big social network brands and sort of the marketplace solution providers like eBay or Uber. And this is where both consumers and the operators generate and consume content and services. So it's not just information pushed to you, but the users are also highly responsive for generating a lot of the utilization of these platforms and services. Which then brings us to Web 3. Web 3 is made possible with the emergence of blockchain as an underlying technology to enable what is now being coined a decentralized web, or in our case, a read, write, and own web. So similar to Web 2, where the stakeholders and creators are users and creators of services, but now they can also be owners. And the fundamental principles, are ultimately to progressively decentralize over time. So move away from centralized institutions and this kind of utopian, fully decentralized theory, which may be the holy grail, but obviously without its challenges. So I guess to put it simply, if Airbnb was reimagined today as a Web3 business, it would be owned by its hosts. If Uber was a Web3 business, it could be owned by its drivers. And this is kind of fundamentally the kind of the business models that we're going to be seeing as a result of Web3.
Yeah, that's very good to put this example. And I think the promise of Web3 is to potentially revolutionize also the way businesses operate and interact with their customers. Maybe would you like to add a few words? Because I think this is a very important thing to bring it back to the reality of doing business or being an entrepreneur, interacting with the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the time where you could be a customer, an owner, and a user at the same time, either at different stages of that business, it fundamentally changes the entire business model. So you no longer have to have these classic free models that rely on advertising. You could create a platform where the users are rewarded economically as well as through governance and voting, where they can have a stake in the future of a business. They could own a piece of that business. They can buy services from other people within that platform or ecosystem. So it's really about a new generation of accretive business models, which is super exciting because now anybody could launch an ecosystem and leverage their network. Raise money at the back of their own brand or name. Collaborate, partner, and across a whole number of ways in friction and do it frictionless.
Yeah, that's the creation of opportunities that I find to be so interesting in that, and also all the challenges that comes with something that is so new as the Web3. And that leads me also to discuss a little bit and demystify the concept of a hackathon, because we organized or participate in the Web3 hackathon over the summer. And the whole reason for being of a hackathon is to hack problems, tricky problems. And there's no other specialist than Sabrina Grollich to talk about that. She's got so much experience as a strategic designer using the design sprint methodology. And so I think it would be really interesting, Sabrina, if you would like to maybe demystify a little bit, what's a hackathon? How does it work? And maybe even what are some of the general benefits we can expect, or why should we do one in the first place? And why this hackathon on the Web3? I know I've just asked many questions there. You unmute, Sabrina. If you can unmute yourself, that would be awesome.
Yeah. So I just start. So in general, a hackathon is, if you say hackathon, usually you are talking about a developer, a coder hackathon, that you do that. Let's say usually you do it with software development, or you do it with software, let's say with problem solving. So we heard a lot about hackathons when we had the pandemic in the beginning. We had a lot of hackathons to solve all kinds of problems. How can we just do schooling differently? Can we do, let's say, whatever happened to us, how can we do things differently, not being, let's say, alone, etc., etc. So that is also a form of hackathon. So it's kind of doing things to hack, let's say, to find a shortcut. Hacking is kind of finding shortcuts. And let's say the other word is marathon. So it's kind of, you do a marathon. So it's kind of not just a sprint, but it is something a little bit longer, but you try to find a shortcut in this, let's say, time. And usually it's a weekend. It's around 48 hours. That's the usual, let's say, hackathon format. And maybe you also heard about these, let's say, coder working really 48 hours, not just like 2 days, but really overnight. So, and then in the end, so usually the whole format is kind of, there's huge work, like 48 hours of work. But you also have kind of an inspirational starting point, just to be clear about the topic that they will, let's say, find solution to. And also in the end, there is a prize for the teams. There is a jury highlighting, let's say, celebrating, or let's say, giving feedback to the best solution. And so I think this is what usually you call a hackathon. So now we did that a little bit different. So we did a design hackathon. So we didn't want to find a solution, let's say a proper technical elaborated solution. We wanted to find ideas, let's say, wanted to design in this very, very, let's say, open world and undefined, let's say, not defined world of regulations. but it's also, let's say, in general, designing whatever whatever problem you have. This is just amazing. So what we did is we took the design sprint process and we just compressed it a bit. But already, let's say, still in 2 days. So we also did like 48 hours, but we didn't work like 48 hours. We had 2 full days of real work, also with the inspiration in the beginning and also with the jury in the end. But we had 2 full days just to work, to be together with the teams, to collaborate, putting together different perspectives, and design a new solution for a big problem. And so I think this is what, let's say, what was special about our hackathon. And now we did it for this legal topic, but you can also apply it for other topics. But especially, let's say, designing new, let's say, designing our future in whatever area you wanted. So that was amazing. And what was the other question? I think maybe I answered all of them.
I think you answered all of them. It was so awesome. But we can also take questions from the audience. So, you know, whoever happens to be there live, we're so grateful for your time and for you tuning in. Leave us a comment, leave us questions. Don't be shy. I think it's important also to mention that this hackathon was also about using the legal design innovation methodology to be able to understand how Web3 works and how the law is going to be, you know, working in the Web3. And so maybe I can give a working definition of what is the legal design innovation methodology. So everybody's on the same page now that we know with Gopal what's Web3. And I love the fact that you shared a little bit about the history, moving from Web 1, Web 2 to Web 3, where it's a lot more interactive, but also users become owners. And so that is a really huge change for the internet. We've also discussed with Sabrina the hackathon, and that the hackathon is a compressed way to solve tricky challenges by working in a collaborative manner. And now what's legal design? Well, legal design is this innovation methodology for the world of law that is focused on understanding our users, our customers, what do they need, what do they really need, if I may emphasize that, because we often take for granted that we know what they need. But the methodology gives us a structured approach to be able to understand the customer, understand the user, what are their objectives, and also how can we improve the experience of the law. So it's a lot of empathy, it's a lot of creativity. Why? Because you need to empathize with your customers and users using a structured framework, and you need to also be able to ideate new solutions to solve those problems. And because of the structure and the flexibility of the methodology, you can use it for any kind of challenges, including Web3. But we've done legal design kind of sprints on other topics, like we've already done one on the metaverse. We've done many on contracts. How can we change the experience and the layout of contracts? We've done it on so many other topics. So you could choose the topic you want, the topic that matters to you, and use this methodology to have a framework, like a roadmap you can follow to be able to innovate and potentially find groundbreaking solutions. And so that's why we decided to come together over the summer. Given Ground has these amazing projects of helping entrepreneurs enter the Web3 world and be able to really, take advantage of the new opportunities, but also to do that in a fair way. And I think this is why the mission of Ground is so powerful, to be able to find a fair way to divide equity in this new economy. And I think a really important challenge and a really important thing that we already know in Web 2 is so hard to do. And I'm sure Benedict can talk a lot about that, since she's a lawyer and she's helping entrepreneurs. And so I think the Web3 is here to give us some new opportunities to solve the problems we have not been able to solve in Web 2, and hopefully do that in a better manner. So I'm going to give the mic to Benedict, who Benedict was a participant for this hackathon, and she won actually the whole thing with her team, with Marco Mendola and Matt Jakubowski. Benedict, would you like to share a little bit? How was your experience of this hackathon? What are some of the things you've learned, and how it's? And I think you have your little babies there with us.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm sorry because this is a bank holiday in France today, so I have kids at home.
That's fine. That's fine. I hope all is good. I hope all is good. Would you like to share a little bit? How was your experience, and what did you learn, and how useful you found this experience to be?
Yes, absolutely. I have the same feeling as my teammate Marco. This was globally. This hackathon was a lot of fun for me. It was really, as I said before, a first real approach to what is truly legal design, because we always have in mind, the beautiful colors, the pictures in the contracts, and this is not legal design is not only this. So this was really interesting because this is a whole methodology that I didn't know. So it was a really insightful approach, and it was really full of, it was really powerful because we were in teams, and people were really all willing to share, to share their knowledge and to implement to implement their knowledge in this in the challenge we had, and we had an amazing facilitator, Mathieu, who is not here today, I think, and it was really a challenge, as an individual and as a team, because we didn't know each other, and we had to to focus on one methodology, and we learned tons of things because Gopal and Sabrina and Ground and you, Tessa, you shared with all of us a lot of information about Web3 legal and Web3, the future of the developments, of legal in this field, and it was really powerful. That's the word that comes to my mind.
Oh, that's so great to hear. And well, yeah, the teamwork is very important. And maybe we can go back to Sabrina and talk a little bit about that. The importance of being in a team and creating a safe space for people who may not necessarily know each other to work together, or even if they know each other. I mean, it's a very different experience. What do you think are the ingredients that makes that possible to create in such a short time such impact for people to come up with creative ideas and solutions? Maybe you want to talk more specifically about what we did for this Web3 hackathon, or more general, Sabrina. Sabrina, you're on mute again. Hey, there you go.
Yeah. We also have a little bit of noise in the background with some kids.
That's all right.
So I would like to start with our setup, because the hackathon was in the metaverse. So we use spatial as an area, as a room, as a place to meet. And I would say this, let's say, to create a safe space, it's not needed to be in the metaverse. It's not, let's say, you can do that in person, you can do that in Zoom, you can do that everywhere. It's more about how you set let's say, set the stage, how you introduce each other, what rules, general rules there are for the workshop, and how you, let's say, frame the whole process. But I think being in the metaverse was something new for all of us. We had a very intense preparation for that because we already, Tessa and also Gopal, we knew what kind of technical problems might occur, and that was why we just had very intense sessions already in the beginning. So we got to know the participants, we put them at ease, we explained a lot. We also did a lot of communication so that everyone was as clear as possible what to expect in the beginning. And I think that is maybe so when we talk about safe space, and we just heard that from Benedict, that everyone was open to share. And I think this is something I'm so proud of the whole team and everyone who contributed, that we were able to achieve that there is this trust to share with each other. So we shared everything that we knew in advance. We shared all kinds of resources, and that was kind of, maybe this is also how you can create trust, that you trust first. So you start, and then the others follow. But it was really important that everyone is open, because we had different backgrounds. Our very important point was that we wanted to have a global audience, let's say global teams, because legislation and let's say regulation in Web3 is a global topic. And it is different in every country, in every jurisdiction. And so we wanted to have as many brains as possible from different countries and different jurisdictions. So it was very important that everyone shared openly what they knew and their thoughts and ideas. And I think maybe because we also were kind of pioneers, and I think the next hackathon will also feel like pioneering still, because it is an open field. It's a lot to explore. But I think that maybe also put us together somehow. But we just followed, let's say, a design thinking process. Where it's about everyone is very important. Everyone is, let's say, we don't have like some big brains and the others are, let's say, no less. Everyone is very valuable. If you are, let's say, a beginner, or if you are already experienced. And I think this is maybe one thing. There are, let's say, there are many recipes, but I would just, let's say, take that as a recipe.
That's amazing. Yeah, and I'm curious to know also from the perspective of Gopal, who, you have so much experience as an entrepreneur, helping startups and new ventures. How was this experience for you as someone who may be used to, interact with maybe a more traditional approach to do the law and to think about legal problems and to solve those legal challenges? What was your experience of interacting with this group of lawyers from all around the world? And what do you think is different from this innovative approach compared to something a little bit more traditional?
Yeah, I think it was brilliant, to be honest, because for me, it was, before I was introduced to the self-tester and the whole legal creative team, a lawyer that is also a creative or an entrepreneur was somewhat paradoxical. My experience with dealing with lawyers and law firms over the years, they're inherently pessimistic, very risk averse, and that's kind of really the opposite of what an entrepreneur is. And so to be able to educate and inform and bring lawyers through a process where they are open-minded to collaborate in a very different way to solve problems, as opposed to just looking to regulation and ticking boxes and dealing with compliance, was really great, because that's kind of, that lateral commercial thinking is what's needed in Web3, because it is fundamentally new ground. It's a landscape changing every day. And so a design sprint methodology is kind of perfect, really, to kind of get you out of your current day-to-day way of working, thinking differently, getting the mind going, and putting yourself in an environment where A, you're meeting new people, but B, then you're going straight into solution, and not worrying about being totally comfortable sharing ideas, because it's not about the idea. Ultimately, it's about the execution. And again, some lawyers would be like, ideas, IP, protect it, but it doesn't actually mean anything because you're not actually doing anything. So you kind of, as a lawyer, I kind of I sympathize with having to kind of go against your makeup and your training and the way you work today, and having to break out that process to go through a creative journey. But ultimately, then you come up with brilliant solutions, which can then give you, within 48 hours, you have some principles or a framework that you may establish, which you can now start building on, testing, validating, throwing time at, that could ordinarily have taken you weeks and weeks, and spending a lot of time and resource to try and get to the same point.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad you mentioned that risk-adverse approach that is so ingrained in the way legal professionals work, and that is so different from what entrepreneurs need and expect. And the hackathon was also an opportunity to brainstorm solutions that could potentially, be brought to market. And I think Benedict, who is representing her team today, she has maybe a little glimpse that she would like to share about the solution, because that's the whole point of today's live, is to go from concept to market. So the hackathon was the opportunity to brainstorm solutions, and Benedict is going to share a little bit about the solutions that I believe, and also maybe if you can update us on what's the next step, because I think you may want to continue with this as well, right?
Yes, I'm going to share. This hackathon was we made it through. We proposed our solution through a mural, so I'm just going to share it to show you. So this is the result of 2 days of intense reflections with my teammates.
So that's great. So
yeah,
awesome. We're gonna see your screen. Yeah, it's coming up right there. That's great.
Yeah, here we go. So our task was to find a safe and compliant way to incorporate companies to issue digital shares on Web3, and with that in mind, what comes to our team is that this is not something for the standard entrepreneur who wants to work on Web3, because Web3 is right now, this is something like, it's more like an insider topic. If you're not in Web3, this is very complicated to understand, and because there is a whole language, there is a jargon in Web3, and there are some concepts that you may not understand if you're not in this field. So we built something with a little bit of fun, because Marco was really the more creative part of the team. So he suggested to build this in the future environment. So we were a team full of coffee, of humor, and and that's it. So we had an old introduction, exactly as Gopal introduced us at the beginning of this live, with Web 1, Web 2, Web 3, all in the Back to the Future environment. And our rules were willingness and red, because Marco was red. That's it. So that was just a color scheme. So that was tons of fun, actually. So our first task, so the task we had in the hackathon was like completely shadowy in our mind. And it's not an entrepreneur. I want an entrepreneur telling it's him or herself, I want to incorporate on chain. What should I do? So we were given a really complicated process, with how do we incorporate? We raise funds through a DAO with tokens and blah blah blah. And this is, if you're not in Web3, you don't understand anything. And from this, we built our persona. We thought about our user, because this is the key in legal design. So our user was an entrepreneur, tech friendly. So he was really George McFly, and he needed support and something easy to understand, something that can build trust easily, because Web3, a big issue with Web3 is building trust. Right now, we just think of crypto scam, NFT scam, and all this kind of stuff. So how do we build trust in Web3? And that's how we came to the solution. How we built it. We wanted here to allow entrepreneurs to be given legal advice on regarding to the Web3 project really easily. And how do we do that? We do that thanks to so all the working processes we have to we imagined a big hairy, ambitious goal, which was to have a single legal framework for Web3 around the world, and if not around the world, at least a tool that can be used worldwide. So this would involve working group to build this tool. This would involve to have working groups to gather all the the information, to gather all the questions that entrepreneurs could have, and then you have to automate it, so all the legal ops side, and then real life to have the final product and to access the market. And the product we imagined was an app. But it could be an app that can allow you to go into a metaverse, for example, if you prefer to go into the metaverse, for the gamification side, for the Web3 side, and to help build trust. So this is quite self-explanatory. And the idea is that you enter this app or this metaverse, and then you just go and find the information you need. You need tax advice, then you can just go to a tax advice office, which would be in the metaverse or in the app. And you can, we imagine as well, I'm sorry, something really accessible, really access friendly, so you can have the information in text and visual. You can have a chat. You can call people, and the people in there would be, lawyers, official government representatives, administrations. For example, I don't know, tax administration, to have a single, a one-stop shop regarding Web3 and legal on Web3. And this would allow to build trust, and this would allow people to build their companies in the web in Web3. So that was here we go. So of course, I'm not sharing the whole presentation because there is all the whole process, thinking about the user, the solutions. But that's the concept we came with, and this is the concept that the jury liked the best, actually.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you for making the time to share on the Mural. For those of you who don't know Mural, it's a collaborative tool that we use every single time whenever we do a legal design project or a design sprint or a hackathon. And so for those of you who think, oh my God, it looks so messy and chaotic, that's the creativity part. And this is where the magic happens. So it's just about embracing a very different sets of tools than the tools we used to see in the law, right? And Benedict, since you have made this great presentation, and I see from the work you have done with your team, you have managed to develop a very solid understanding of all this user centricity, understanding who's the user, what do they need. Maybe do you want to share a little bit, how do you see this legal design methodology helping you? Maybe you've already made some changes since you took part in this experience in the way you practice the law, in the way you envision to serve your customers in the future. What are some of the things that you are changing now using this methodology that you find to be so valuable for you or so valuable for your customer?
Yes. The biggest change, is the change of perspective. You're not, when you are in law school, you almost teach to serve your clients in a top-down way. I am the lawyer, I know the law, so I deliver. I deliver my knowledge, and then do whatever you can with it. So I've realized that in my practice in-house for the past years, I've been doing, legal design, if I can say this way, without knowing it. It's just that the most important thing in legal design is the user. And in my past practice, I used to, to deliver the solution to my customers, to the question they are, the problem they have, the issue they have. You don't give them a law course because they don't care. they just don't care. They want something straight to the point and something actionable. That which they can use in business, right? Really, they can implement quickly. And lawyers are used, to give all the possible issues, all the possible solutions to cover themselves, really. And what I've learned during this hackathon and later with you, Tessa, through Legal Creatives, is that the user must be really at the core of everything you do in your business, even in legal. And realizing it and having a methodology, a real methodology to implement it, has been a game changer for me, because now I'm, for example, for my template shop, I'm just reviewing everything to simplify, to make it much more user-friendly without, legalese language that users don't understand, for example, to avoid having, plenty of clauses that are maybe not always useful. And yes, this has been a game changer for me, because I realized how you can deliver your message much more effectively thanks to legal design.
Well, that's amazing. As Sabrina is noting, and Gopal too, Does any one of you want to add something to that? And by the same token, since I see the time is running out, maybe it could be interesting also to start, sharing about, I don't know, the next step, any, links to the projects you're doing, so the audience can know where to connect with you, where to join your communities, initiatives, and how we can help you. Gopal, would you like to start?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So I mean, our next steps where we are with Ground is we're now at the stage where we're onboarding what we're calling the alpha team. So individuals who want to work with us to build Ground on a fractional or more semi-permanent basis, we'll start battle testing some of the ways of engagement that we just talked about in this webinar today or call today. And we'll be very excited to speak to anybody who is either a lawyer or a builder or a developer or just a Web3 enthusiast, influencer, who wants to find a new way of basically building a portfolio career, building with us or building on us, because that's what Web3 is about. It's about diversification. It's about opportunity. It's about working borderless. It's about being remote. And so we're engineering the infrastructure to enable that. So do reach out to ourselves. There's a landing page up on ground.is, which is our homepage, where you can register interest. Feel free to also email myself or Sabrina directly. I'm Gopal at ground.is and Sabrina at ground.is as well. So whatever works for you guys. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's really great, Sabrina. And I recommend everyone to follow also Gopal on LinkedIn and be part of your network, Gopal, because the work you do is, I think, the work you're doing with Ground and all this ecosystem you're building is just so phenomenal. Sabrina, would you like to add something to Ground or anything else in terms of next steps and how to connect with you as well to continue this conversation?
Like Gopal just mentioned, Sabrina at ground.is, and also on LinkedIn. This is the place where I'm, let's say, most, also starting on more and more on Twitter, but let's say LinkedIn is the best. I would, because I just have an eye on the comments as well, and I see a question that I want to just take, and maybe that also illustrates a bit Web3. We have a question here. So where is that now? Oops. Oh, does Web3 support data privacy? I want to answer that with, let's say, one of the biggest paradigm shifts that we have from Web 2 to Web 3. So there is not the Web 3 as like the internet, or let's say, let's call it like the Googles, the Facebooks, the Amazons of the web that we have right now. But each of us is, let's say, taking care of our own data privacy. So we own our data, but it gives us a responsibility. So we need to take care. So it's on us, but we need to take the responsibility as well. So it's not that someone will be, let's say, will take care for it. And I think this is one of the biggest shifts. So maybe that as a last comment from my side. And yeah, if there are, also we want to invite design professionals to Ground. Okay, thank you.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's really great. Yeah, I've seen this question, and thank you, Sabrina, for bringing that again. Because I also want to add to that all those questions do not have yet a clear answer. And I think this is why the legal design methodology and the hackathons or design sprints is so valuable, because they help us think about those problems and challenges, how do we transition privacy from Web 2 to Web 3? Privacy in Web 2 was not so effective with the little tick the box. Do you understand what you have read? Do you agree to those terms? Nobody reads, nobody understands, and people just click, and then whatever happens, happens. So how can we do that differently in Web3, especially in a space that is so visual, so interactive and immersive? Nobody wants to read a 10-page document in the metaverse. And so I think this is why, again, those challenges as to IP in the metaverse, privacy in the metaverse, needs legal design as a structured methodology to think about those problems and to find solutions. And so that leads me to talk a little bit about our next step at Legal Creative, since that's all that we do, teach and create new solutions with the legal design methodology. If you would like to be part of this movement, if you don't know what we do, well, now you know a little bit more about legal design and the impact it can have. You can subscribe to our newsletter so you can receive some invitations for amazing events like this one and others that we regularly organize with the community. You can also take a look at the courses and programs that we have that are all about teaching you the legal design framework so we can help you produce your own solutions. So we're all about empowering you to use this framework and to create whatever is going to be meaningful and impactful for you. So that's really a little bit about this platform that we create. And because Web3 is so much in tune with also the philosophy that we have at Legal Creatives, that is really to empower the community, we also starting to move into the Web3. We already did some great moves with Ground, Sabrina, and Gopal with this Web3 hackathon. But now, at least I am personally invested in exploring and continuing to explore this. And so we're building now a new community on the Nas.io platform. Nas, who is this famous YouTuber, you may have seen his 1-minute video from all around the world. And so we're partnering with them to create this new Web3 community that is for lawyers, but also entrepreneurs, business owners, marketers, anyone interested in learning about Web3. And I think what was great from this hackathon we organized, we had Robert Anna also give a talk. And I think, Sabrina, you remember Robert saying, there is no Web3 experts. Nobody is a Web3 expert. We're all learning. We're all sharing. And I think that's the philosophy we want to bring as well.
But yeah, that's a good quote. So I really embrace that. And I, let's say I have so many, I learned so much already, but I think the more I learn, the more I know what I don't know. And I think this is a unifying all of us in Web3. And I think we all need to be humble and just be open to share our knowledge. And this is also nice in Web3 because everyone is sharing, which is great as well.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. And how about Benedict? I don't think I've asked you any next step and best way to connect with you to continue this conversation.
Yes, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. So and on Instagram as well, but I'm only sharing in French for now. And next step for me, I'm revamping, on my templates, the legal design way, and to serve my customer always the best way. And next step maybe would be to think about how to implement Web3 related tools, like a metaverse or something like this, within the customer experience, to bring more fun.
Well, that's awesome. Then you should definitely join this new little Web3 community, Benedict, because I'm going to share all sorts of tips on to how to use the metaverse, and it's going to be a great experience, I think, for you and for everybody to learn from what we do. So yeah, I see we have the Instagram there as well for Benedict, which I'm going to share. Well, I think this is officially the end of our talk. I hope I didn't forget anything, but I think it was great to be able to sort of wrap up this amazing Web3 Legal Design Hackathon. Before we leave, I'm going to play this short video so you can see a little bit how it looked like. And well, if you're interested to invest yourself in the Web3 world, you have here great professionals. Gopal, thank you so much for being here today. Sabrina as well, who has a special twist with the design, and Benedict as a lawyer also invested in Web3. So thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in today on this live talk. And well, let's continue on this journey to learn and to grow and to share and to make sure that the Web3 is going to be a safe and exciting place for us to do business, create relationships and communities, and build the brands of the future in the metaverse. Anything else someone wants to add before I play the little video?
Just thank you, Tessa.
Yeah,
thank
awesome.
you, Tessa, Gopal, Sabrina for this hackathon. It was really great.
Well, we are so happy you were a part of it. Let's take a look as we go at this little video. And well, thank you everybody for joining. Share this video with your friends so they can watch the replay and connect with us to continue this conversation. Thank you so much for everybody for tuning in live.
Thank you.